Today is all about the World Cup and how you can prepare your crypto portfolio for the World Cup. You may be sitting there thinking, well, what does the World Cup being a sport have anything to do with crypto? Well, there are actually tokens and platforms which have strategic partnerships with the World Cup in November that I think are going to perform very strongly in the lead up to the World Cup. And also, the World Cup could act as a catalyst to spur these cryptos onto new waves of adoption. So in today's show, I'm going to be talking about two altcoins which I think are direct beneficiaries of the World Cup and future sporting events as we look forward into November. Let's get straight into the show. The first thing I want to talk about is CHZ, which is Chilliz. Now, Chilliz is essentially a bet on the soccer. Some people call it football. If you're from Europe, in Australia, we call it soccer, social tokens, and the attention economy. Post-merge, there's a vacuum for attention and narrative. So basically what's happened post-merge is that a lot of people are lost for future narratives because that was the big driver of the market, all those Ethereum-led protocols. Now people are searching for places to put their liquidity, especially people that made money on Ethereum. They're looking for different narratives to siphon profits into. This World Cup narrative, I certainly believe, is one of the narratives that I think could be home to some of this liquidity. This creates room for a World Cup narrative to take the helm. Look, whether it takes the helm or whether it's simply something that runs is a discussion we need to have, but I think it's certainly something that is going to see some limelight as we go into November. Take note, we're still 8 weeks away from the World Cup beginning, so I'm giving this to you guys fairly early. Obviously, we could have done it a few months ago, even more prematurely, but I still think 2 months is a pretty nice gap between now and the World Cup. Crypto revolves around the attention economy, perfect for Chilliz who have proven themselves to be talented marketers to capitalize on this with the most highly anticipated event for the world's most popular sport. So let's actually talk about what Chilliz is, CHZ. Let's talk about the token and how it actually benefits from sporting events and what it is powering, and a very interesting narrative that not a lot of people are talking about that I think is going to become very prevalent. Now, the first thing you have to note is that soccer is the biggest global sport. It is massive. It has hundreds of millions, if not billions of viewers. We can actually see that Qatar is predicting 5 billion people to watch the World Cup, making it by far the largest sporting event almost of all time, actually, and it's the most watched tournament in the FIFA World Cup's history. So this certainly isn't shy of eyeballs. Soccer is a massive sport. Any token that can capitalize on a small percentage of this market is a token that I think deserves a rightful place in the top 50 cryptocurrencies, and that's exactly what we've seen Chilliz become over the last few weeks. So Chilliz as a platform and Chilliz as a token slightly differ. So Chilliz as a token, CHZ, is an ERC20 utility token, which is built on the Ethereum blockchain, serving the purpose as a digital currency for the Chilliz exchange, which is an exchange where you can buy fan tokens, and the Socios.com platform. In launching our platform, alongside other sports blockchain ventures, a new category of token has emerged called the fan token. Once on board the Socios.com platform, which we can see here is a website where you can support your club by buying fan tokens, participating in team events, etc. You can do so using the Chilliz token. So you can buy these tokens on Socios.com using the Chilliz token. So you have to purchase CHZ via a cryptocurrency exchange in order to acquire fan tokens on Socios.com. These tokens, which are specific to a team or club, are a finite digital asset that provide access to an encrypted ledger of voting, memberships, and right ownership. So this is basically what fan tokens are. If you hold a fan token and you do so through the Chilliz exchange or Socios, you're getting the ability to participate in fan-led decisions. So the club may give certain votes or certain decisions out to fan token holders. And depending on the amount of tokens you hold, the more governance you hold, the more voting rights you actually hold. Some clubs are also offering tickets, so season tickets, special access to events, special access to games, to an exclusive inner circle of fans that you can only access if you hold the tokens. So the more tokens you hold, the more perks you get, and the higher the clout rating of you as a fan actually gets. So you move upwards through the different reward tiers. The higher the reward tier, the bigger VIP benefits that are on offer. Now think about how many diehard, like Manchester United, diehard Real Madrid, PSG fans there are across the world for these major clubs. These fan tokens really appeal to those people because by holding these tokens, you're betting on the upside of the club. So the more popular the club becomes, in theory, the more fan tokens will be demanded. And two, you're also getting access to the perks and privileges that you want as a major Real Madrid, as a major PSG fan. So it's a major benefit if you're a fan of any of these clubs or are betting on the success of these clubs, because now you have a way to invest in them. A lot of these clubs aren't public, so they're not on the stock exchange. So having a token is essentially their way of publicizing some of their stock in a very indirect way, because no, you're not getting a profit share from the underlying business, but you are betting on their hype. You're betting indirectly on their success. So it is an interesting way to get exposure to these clubs as well. So what is Chilliz itself? Because we now know what fan tokens are. They lead decision making, they lead voting, and they also trade on hype. Chilliz itself is that token that you need to own to buy these fan tokens. So if you're using the Chilliz exchange, which is an exchange here, which is the leader tokenized sport and entertainment exchange, you will need Chilliz tokens to purchase coins on this exchange. Similarly, as Socios. Socios has partnered with Chilliz. So if you want to purchase different fan tokens, trade fan tokens, take part of the reward system here, you need to do so using Chilliz tokens, CHZ tokens. That is the major use case for Chilliz. So obviously more people will be buying Chilliz as these fan tokens are traded more over time. So essentially, if you want to mint these tokens, or if sporting organizations want to design and mint tokens, they can do so, and they can build them on Chilliz for their fans to buy, collect, and trade. So that is the major use case of the Chilliz token. So the rewards platform, Socios.com, is powered by Chilliz, as I said. So is the Chilliz exchange. Now, just on the tokenomics for a second, a total of 8.88 billion CHZ tokens were minted, of which about 34% were allocated to pre-sale, and the public sale, 5% was distributed to the Chilliz team. Pretty low in the scheme of things. It's pretty reasonable considering, how most cryptos launch. 3% to the advisory board and 15% marketing operations, strategic acquisitions. 22.5% was actually allocated to the user base reserve, which is a good thing. I think you do need a user base reserve. You also need incentives for people to use these platforms to dish out CHZ as reward for people that actually use the platforms. So those are the tokenomics. And if we do go on to the Chilliz tokenomics on CoinGecko, we can see that a large percentage has already hit the market. So out of the 8.88 billion tokens that are set to hit the market, 5.3 are already circulating. So this isn't like many other tokens where there's crazy dilution to come. There's only 35% future dilution in the form of rewards here and vesting for the original founders. So because the project has been around for a little bit now, the circulating supply has had time to creep up a little bit, certainly lowers some of the risk when we're investing. Fully diluted is 2 billion. So it's not a small cap. It's rank 45. I think it's reasonably so because, it's a soccer or a football token. It's the biggest sport in the world, and it has some big partnerships. The first big partnership that they actually signed was this $100 million stake in FC Barcelona's digital studio. So they are official partners with FC Barcelona, obviously one of the biggest clubs in the world. They also have partnerships with PSG, Manchester City. We can see on Socios.com they have City, Atletico, Roma, Barca, Juve, Paris, Inter Milan tokens actually listed. Arsenal, Valencia. By the way, just quickly, if you guys are a fan of any soccer clubs, let me know, or football clubs, let me know in the comments. Tell me who you're a fan of, and also tell me who you're going for in the World Cup. Personally, I like Real Madrid. I don't know. I was a huge Ronaldo fan growing up, so I kind of just stuck to Real, and now I really like Vinny Jr. And I'm probably going to go for in the World Cup, obviously Australia, because I'm Australian, but we'll probably get knocked out. So my backup would be, I think, Germany, because obviously my last name's Deutscher. I've got German heritage, so I'm going to say Germany and Real Madrid. They're my two favorite teams. Let me know what yours are in the comments. I'd be very interested to know who you guys are actually backing. And upon the announcement of this, the price did obviously respond quite positively. And then they partnered Lionel Messi as their official ambassador for Socios. So now Messi is the official partner here. One of the biggest names in football. If we just go into Instagram, it's clear how much social dominance these guys have. If you search up Messi on Instagram, he's got 360 million followers, making him a top 3 follow person on the platform. Cristiano Ronaldo, another footballer, is also one of the most followed people on the platform. He's not an official Socios partner, but they are expanding to future clubs. Socios is an official partner with his old club, Juve. If they ever partner with his new club, Manchester United, obviously then Ronaldo may be involved in some way. In terms of personal branding, though, they've got Messi as an official sponsor. That's pretty big news, in my opinion. As the World Cup is coming closer, obviously 8 weeks out from the World Cup, we can see a lot of these fan tokens are starting to perform quite strongly in the lead up here. And yeah, we're just seeing a little bit of hype and momentum build. Okay, so what's the play here? I like Chilliz a lot, so I'll just tell you from a long-term perspective. I do like this as a token, I'll be honest. The tokenomics is solid. The use case is clear. It's one of these unique tokens where it's got a real-world use case. So the problem is with a lot of crypto tokens is they simply operate as Ponzi. So a lot of these DeFi protocols, AMMs, they rely on a constant influx of liquidity and trading to benefit the tokens and accrue value. The thing with it, a token like CHZ, is it's a real world use case powered token. There still isn't that many of these tokens on the market. This has a real benefit for one of the biggest sports in the world. The use case is supporting one of the biggest sports in the world. So it becomes a very clear value accrual for a platform like Chilliz that it can actually get real users. So if you're a DEX and you're trying to get real users, you're relying on crypto people to come in. Whereas CHZ, it doesn't need crypto people. It doesn't need us at all. In fact, we're a tiny blip on their radar. It relies on it relies on the overall football fan base who hopefully, once they become aware of a platform like Chilliz, can use Socios, can use the Chilliz exchange to support their clubs. Socios is great because you can buy tokens on Binance and then use them and get access to all the benefits on socios.com with these tokens. And it's a phone app. We know how important mobile is for Web3 adoption, considering Web3 on desktop is quite clunky, etc. So long term, massive scope for growth, and I do like it, and that's why it's on my long-term accumulation list. I just, I'm a huge soccer fan. I've played FIFA all my life. I see the use case. I see the passion, and I just understand this business model quite well, and it's a very easy one to contextualize given the real-world utility here. So what's the play in the lead-up to the World Cup? Well, there's actually a graph here which shows you how the token performed in the lead-up to previous major soccer events. So we saw the Under-17 World Cup. I'm not going to count this because it's a pretty tiny event. I think the big event was the Club World Cup, the first big event where we saw the pump happen roughly a month beforehand. If you see that tiny little blip beforehand, it pumped and then it sold off into the event. Tokyo 2020, which was the Olympics. Obviously, many international soccer teams had token exposure, considering soccer is one of the sports, albeit it's under 23. It's not like Ronaldo and Messi were playing it in Tokyo. However, we did see a pump into the event. The sell-off actually happened pretty close to the event, just within weeks. So it maintained its price performance into the event. The Club World Cup in UAE last year, we had the exact same scenario as the Club World Cup in Qatar, where it pumped a month before and then dropped off slightly into the event. Then we saw a massive spike after as the Messi-Barcelona partnerships were announced. As some of these big, actually, no, that was announced here. This was another big announcement with some other clubs as Socios first launched, and they partnered with a plethora of clubs. Then we obviously saw a few price spikes with the recent partnerships that have been announced. And then now we are pumping into the lead up to the World Cup. So we have seen in the past the sell-off happen just before the World Cup. I don't think this is any different. However, the only thing I would say is, yes, it probably is a sell the news event in the sense that a few weeks before the World Cup, this sells off. But I wouldn't underestimate 5 billion eyeballs on this token, and 5 billion eyeballs not necessarily on the CHZ token, but on the Socios platform. This is the even bigger effect, in my opinion, because if you get people supporting these clubs on the platforms, that is a much bigger thing than just promoting the CHZ token itself. So yes, I do think there'll be a sell-off pre-World Cup. However, I think this could I actually think this makes a fundamental difference to the underlying fundamentals of the token, considering that the exposure is going to be massive. And just the hype around soccer, the hype around, the hype around these fan tokens leading into such a big event will attract a lot of attention. And yes, it's probably sell the news, but I also think there is more scope for growth here. This lines up quite nicely with my thesis that we do see some green into midterms at the start of November. The World Cup's on November 20th. Midterms are on November 5th, I believe, or that's when that starts. So we could see this peak around the first week of November. That's kind of my thesis. Last week of October, first week of November. It just lines up quite nicely, in my opinion, with the midterms, what I think will happen there. Obviously, I could be wrong. I don't have a crystal ball, but that's just kind of how I'm loosely trading. So if you can scoop up some tokens in the meantime, don't go too crazy, then you could be prepping yourself here for a nice little price rise. So when we look at the charts, we have already risen significantly since the bottom here. We're already up 197%. But if we look at the daily chart and we zoom out a bit, we can see that we're still significantly down from the highs. Like basically every token since it first launched, we're down 63%. So there is still scope here for growth, I think. Coming in at a market cap of 1.2 billion. This is a token that in the future I could see much higher than that. Just to give a rough guide, in a couple of years, if this vision succeeds of a soccer exchange platform, there's no reason it can't be 20, $30 billion in the market cap, considering how big football is as a sport. In the lead up to the World Cup, that's not going to happen, but it definitely could be a nice little 2 and 3x against the market. That's not out of the question here if it did double in price. I am waiting for this pullback. So this dotted line here, which is at the 0.226 level, I think we could get that if we have some volatility around FOMC. So keep your eyes out over the next couple days for that. The next level we could drop down to is the 1.8. I don't think we do. I think the bottom is in for now, but if we did drop down to the 1.8 over the next few weeks, then that would definitely be an accumulation zone. And then the other one, the other two zones is obviously the confirmed breakout. So if we pumped and then we did a retest of this top level at 0.268, that would be a confirmed buy. You can just set your stop loss slightly under, which obviously is a higher confirmation play, especially if you're on low leverage or spot. That would be the way to go. Or if we bounce off the EMAs, that's another thing I'm looking at. So there's a few confluence points for you to look at. This dotted level, a confirmed breakout, or some nice support on the EMAs you can purchase on. Those are the three levels I'm looking at. And if you do want to do any trading for any token, not just CHZ, any token at all, you can do so on ByBit using the link in the description and get yourself access to that $4,200 bonus if you sign up for a new account, as well as Sheldon's premium calls on the Crypto Banter Discord, link in the description for that too. So make sure you get an account if you don't already. But the CHZ narrative isn't it. That's not the only thing I want to talk about. I also want to quickly talk about Algorand, which is another token which is gaining a little bit of steam into the World Cup. So I'll just go over this very quickly and outline my ALGO thesis, which is quite similar to my Chilliz thesis. FIFA has an official partner in Algorand. So Chilliz wasn't an official partner with the World Cup. It was an indirect partner through its Messi partnership, through its Socios partnership, which follows the broader soccer narrative. Whereas the FIFA World Cup has an official partner with Algorand, which will basically have Algorand's branding at the World Cup. It becomes the official blockchain platform, so it's the main blockchain sponsoring FIFA. It's got to have those sponsorships on video ads at the stadiums. It's got to have that branding, so that's great for brand awareness. Algorand in and of itself, as an L1, does a few things. It's lightweight, it's provable. It has, you can create access for a cross-chain audience. I don't really know that much about Algorand, to be completely honest. I'm just reading off this. So I'm not going to go too much into it, but people seem to like it. The reason I'm not giving you an in-depth opinion on Algo and I'm not deep diving like I did into Chilliz is because I frankly don't really, I'll be honest, I don't really give a crap about Algorand long-term. I'm sorry, Algorand fans. Unlike Chilliz, I'm not holding Algo long term. I am trading Algo into the World Cup though. So Algo is a token that I will trade into the World Cup because if we do get a breakout of this diagonal here and a nice retest, which would have confluence with this 35 level on the horizontal, then I do think this could perform quite well. It's still down quite a lot from its highs. It's not very far down from the bottom, and it's only up 19% from the bottom, guys. And this is the official FIFA blockchain partner. So we don't even need to really look into the fundamentals. I can bore you with this thing, but then I just realized on the spot that it doesn't matter what the fundamentals are. This is a trade. And when it comes to trades, we're relying on hype. And, 5 billion people have their eyes on Algorand. Just the market thinking of the fact that 5 billion people will have their eyes on Algorand probably results in positive price performance if the market holds up. So then Algo becomes a logical play. So Chilliz long-term is a lot better than Algo in my opinion, at least for me. I just understand it better. It should still perform well short-term, whereas Algo is more of my short-term trade. Yeah, so you seriously have no clue anything you're saying. Your TA is BS. Not true. I have a very, very good trader who helps me with charts. I don't claim to be a TA expert. I never will. I'm a fundamentalist. I do my fundamental research. I'm a DeFi guy. I never claim to be a TA expert, brother. But I do have some great levels from a great chartist that also helps me out. So these levels aren't just plucked from my ass. I can assure you. Miles, free Miles, noob. Nah, not a noob, brother. Do a lot of research. Been in this space for almost 3 years now, so probably longer than you. Ban Barca users? Well, yeah, we got to ban them. I'm a Real Madrid fan. CRO also sponsored the World Cup. Yeah, we got multiple exchanges. I just think that that investing in exchanges directly is a little trickier because it's harder to measure. Something like an algo, it's a pretty simple trade on hype, with kind of like the L1 branding. Whereas a CRO, you are relying on more people adopting that as an official exchange. So if you're a user watching the World Cup, they want you to start trading. That's better for trade rev, but trade rev doesn't purely reflecting the CRO price. So it's a very indirect way of getting exposure. That's why I'm not playing CRO or the big exchanges. I'm more focusing on CHZ and ALGO. So my plan is very simply to just ladder into some of these tokens over the next 2 weeks. The most red days in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to buy some spot Chilliz, buy some spot ALGO, maybe small leverage. When I talk leverage, I'm talking 2 to 3x max. I'm not a leverage trader. I'll go a little bit smaller. And yeah, I'll essentially just accumulate some spot and then sell into midterms. That is my plan. I think it's pretty solid. I think it's positive EV, meaning I think there's a higher chance this plays out than it doesn't. But of course, I'm not risking the farm on this, so I'm only putting in what I can afford to lose. Small percentage of my portfolio, I'd say it's sub 3%. And I'm having a little play on this hype and speculation. Given the fact the World Cup narrative is so strong, unless we see a massive Bitcoin or Ethereum dump, possible, but that's not the thesis I'm playing on, then I think these will still hold up. So it's unlikely that they crash to new lows considering the momentum they could get in the lead up. So yeah, I think these are a decent play. So I'm going to pick up this conversation on Instagram, follow on from what we did yesterday. Yesterday, you guys were kind of getting me to review your tokens live on Insta. So I'll definitely continue with that. So I'm live on Instagram now. There's a link in the description. My Instagram's Miles_Deutscher, but there's also a link in the description if you want to hang out and join. And yeah, we'll have a little bit of a chat. Paula says she's going for Mexico. Nice. Who do you guys have on your team now? I remember when you had like Chicharito, but he's not playing anymore. I don't know your team too well now. Need to look into Mexico. I think Brazil. I think I'm going for Germany, but my tip for the World Cup is probably Brazil. I mean, Vinny and Neymar on the wings, like, man, that's strong. Then you add in like Rodrigo coming off the bench. Jesus is in great form for Arsenal. You've got that center back pairing with Marquinhos. It's like, that is a very strong lineup. I don't know if anyone will be able to overcome Brazil. That's my hot tip for the World Cup. But then you got France as well. You got Griezmann, Mbappe, Benzema, best striker in the world at the moment. So France is strong. France-Brazil final, maybe on the cards here. No, I don't think it's too late necessarily for Chilliz because just of the hype. Like, yes, it's pumped, but we're still 2 months out, right? There's still room for this to grow. And if the market holds up, that's even more of a reason. So Algorand, however, hasn't pumped. So if you're a bit skeptical of Chilliz already having that major pump, I understand you. Algo, one of these ones that hasn't really pumped. So that's definitely one you can look to buy, especially on confirmation of this breakout with the horizontal and diagonal confluence. That's something I'm looking at. All right, cool. I'll see you guys in the next one. Catch you on Instagram. Peace out. I'm just answering a question real quick. You can buy the jumper from Uniqlo. Someone asked where you can buy. It's just Uniqlo. It's just a very simple fur jumper. It's very warm. So, yeah, recommend the Uniqlo stuff. Cheap and effective.